Hello people, this is Monish back again with another book review. It's quite late in the night and I've just finished reading the poetry of t.s.Eliot. And even though it's quite late, I wanted to make this video because the effect of the poetry is still fresh on my mind, and with that I can hope to do some justice to the genius of T.S. Eliot and such a work of genius, such a masterpiece. So the book that I've been reading is The Wasteland, Proof Rock and Other Poems by T.S. Eliot. So most of these poems were published around 1915 to 1935. So I don't know if I can do justice to a work like this by a genius like T.S. Eliot and such poetry, but I've been trying to gather my thoughts and hopefully I'll come up with something comprehensible. So there are three major characteristics that really stood out for me. Number one, this poetry is a transcendental kaleidoscope. People, this is truly sublime. The words, the thoughts, and the ideas take birth in the very depths of the soul of the poet and fly to us on clouds of ethereal expressions of layers upon layers of meaning and layers upon layers of emotions that penetrate into the very core of our being. You know, every reader will find a different meaning, a different message that will resonate with one's own view of himself and of the world. And one will know how powerful and mesmerizing and humbling and elating and intoxicating can poetry be. This is poetry at its best. Number two, there is this juxtaposition of the sublime and the mundane throughout the poetry of T.S. Eliot. You know, a sublime thought, a sublime sentence, a divine word is then quickly followed by something very mundane, and vice versa. You know, he contrasts the heavenly, the divine, elaborating on its beauty, its wisdom, its eternal. And he contrasts all that with the earthly, everyday cares that are petty and fleeting. And in doing that, forces us to look upon things, on ourselves, and view our world in a different perspective. You know, from a bird's eye in the sky, and sometimes judging and sometimes forgiving. So that juxtaposition kinda has that effect, or at least that effect on me. The third and the last thing I'm going to talk about is this poetry These poems are sad. The poet is coming from a place of sadness, from the very depths of his heart, from the core of his being. Melancholy envelops the atmosphere, and the words reveal a regret. A regret that life has passed by, and the poet has been a bystander, mostly a bystander. What poetry, what sweet poetry. Nothing like I've ever read before, nor I could ever imagine. Such a work of genius. I'm grateful to God for having picked up this book and having read these poems. And with all my heart, I recommend the poetry of T.s. Eliot to each one of you. By all means, pick it up. Lastly, please subscribe to my channel and do like and share my videos. Until next time.